Some of y'all about to be really mad at me, but it must be said, cause I gotta keep it real. Hey, Dropouts, what's poppin'? It's your boy Jordan Dropout, and unless you've been living under a rock, then I'm sure you've heard some of this Pokemon controversy by now. Now, before I go on what some of y'all may perceive as a rant, or just hating on GameFreak / the Pokemon company, I do want to preface this video by saying, I'm not new to Pokemon. I've been playing this game for well over 20 years. I've been playing the games, the TCG. I've played damn near every Pokemon game until completion. I've watched the anime. I got the Burger King toys, for crying out loud. So I'm just saying this to say that your boy not new to this, and I'm not just some other guy picking up a pitchfork ready to jump into the GameFreak hate mob. Now, with that being said, I know I'll still get people in the comments defending GameFreak, and nothing is wrong with that. If I'm tripping, let me know. But the comments that I don't want are people calling me stupid and calling me a hater for not agreeing with this decision. So now that I got all the disclaimers out the way, just in case you haven't heard what the problem is, here's a quick rundown. Any Pokemon that isn't found in the Galar Pokedex will not be obtainable in game. And when I say it that way, it sounds like, okay, what's the big deal? There has never been a Pokemon game where you could catch every single Pokemon. But let me reiterate that. If a Pokemon doesn't appear in the Galar Dex, then it won't be obtainable in game. Meaning, if it's not in that Pokedex, you can't even trade it over from a previous game. Some of y'all might be thinking, I don't know why y'all overreacting. It ain't even that bad. Bruh, y'all wasn't crying back in Gen 2 when you couldn't bring your stuff with you to Ruby and Sapphire from Gold, Silver, and Crystal. That's completely different. Those were hardware limitations. This is a different story. So yeah, some Pokemon have been cut. Well, maybe not cut. Cut may not be the right word, but some Pokemon have been omitted from the new Pokemon games. Now you may be thinking, well, which Pokemon am I not going to be able to take with me? GameFreak slid this one under the rug after their Nintendo Direct at their Nintendo E3 Treehouse event. So shout out to US Gamer for following up with Junichi Masuda and asking the questions that we were wanting to ask that we didn't get a chance to. This is what Junichi Masuda had to say. Looking at some news that came out yesterday, there are some limitations on the Pokemon home. Only the Galar region Pokedex is going to be accessible. Can you walk me through why that decision was made and why you think it's important to have that limitation? And Junichi Masuda says there are a couple of different parts to the thinking behind it, but really the biggest reason for it is the sheer number of Pokemon. We already have well over 800 Pokemon species, and there's going to be more added in these games. And now that they're on the Nintendo Switch, we're creating it with much higher fidelity, with higher quality animations. I'm sorry, I'm allergic to BS. But even more than that, it's coming down to the battle system. We're making sure we can keep everything balanced. We're making sure we can keep everything BALANCED and give all the Pokemon that appear in the games a chance to shine. We knew at some point we weren't going to be able to indefinitely keep supporting all of the Pokemon, and we just found that Sword and Shield would probably be a good point to go back and re-evaluate what would be the best selection of Pokemon that appeal to the widest audience while keeping into consideration the balance of the battle system. It isn't just going to be all new Pokemon in the Galar region Pokedex. There's still going to be a lot of favorites that fans will be able to bring over that they've adventured with previously. But yeah, it was pretty much just balance and getting this optimal selection of Pokemon for the adventure we wanted to provide. I'm sorry about reading like that, but when has GameFreak ever cared about balance? There has always been Pokemon that stick out, Pokemon that are way too good, and Pokemon that always get used on every single team. There's always a talent flame. So US Gamer follows up with, can you tell me about that selection process? Like deciding which Pokemon you wanted ported forward, how much of that had to do with fan favorites versus balancing out the types and abilities? And Junichi Masuda said, there are definitely a lot of factors. The primary focus was the setting of the game. We have the Galar region, and we spent a lot of time discussing which Pokemon would make sense in that region. We kind of selected from there, but we also selected types that make sure the battles are balanced and really provide this exciting kind of battle experience. And there you have it. Now let's break that down. And now that they're on the Nintendo Switch, we're creating it with much higher fidelity and higher quality animations. Boy, if anybody's seen these higher quality animations, please link them down below. Let me know, because the idle animations for the Pokemon haven't changed. They're still trash. They barely move. They look static. The battle animations for these Pokemon have barely changed, if they've changed at all from what I've seen. We saw that Scorbunny do double kick. He was just like, oh, let me freeze for a second. Yeah, that was a, oh, let me freeze for a second. Double kick. Like, come on, fam. Pokemon Battle Revolution animations in that game killed the animations in this game. And one guy argued and said, well, yeah, but that game was only battling. So that's really all they had to worry about was menus and battling. So they can do that. And I said, okay, fair point. But Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness both did battle animations better than Pokemon Sword and Shield. And those were full-blown adventure games. They weren't mainline Pokemon games, but they were still full-blown adventure games. Oh, what's that you say? They have to make over 1,000 models for these Pokemon and you expect them to be able to animate every single one of them to your standards? No, they don't have to do that. When Game Freak first went to 3D for Pokemon, the models were future-proofed, so they wouldn't run into problems like this. That means that these models actually had to be downscaled to work with the 3DS. The Pokemon models from X and Y and upward are a lot higher fidelity than you may think they are. So that means they have these 800 plus models already done. So what is the problem? And let us not forget the promise that they made to us when they rolled out Pokemon Bank. When we paid for Pokemon Bank, we were promised that we would be able to use their service to continue to bring our Pokemon forward into the newer games. What they didn't tell us was that it's only for a couple of games and then we're gonna put games on the Switch and not let you bring them all over. But Jordan Dropout, it was only like $5 a year, bro. Quit complaining. It's the principle of the thing. And now we got Pokemon Home, but if I'm gonna be transferring Pokemon to Pokemon Home and then they're stuck there in limbo, then is it Pokemon Home or is it Pokemon Jail? This may be the wrong word to use, but I'm really starting to feel like the people over at Game Freak are incompetent. When you hear about the wonky and crazy and wacky things that they do when coding and developing these Pokemon games, it really starts to make you wonder. And I know, Game Freak is a small development team. There's only so much that small crew can do. I mean, they're only a multi-billion-dollar company. Why is the development team so small? It makes no sense. Like, y'all gotta get it together. This is one of the highest grossing franchises of all time. It's probably the highest grossing video game franchise of all time. I don't feel like doing the homework, so I'm not gonna do it. But just take my word for that. This, whatever it is, it makes a lot of money. There's no reason for Game Freak to be running like a freaking indie developer when they make so much money. More money than they can ever do anything with. They need help. I don't know if some other company needs to take over. Maybe Genius Sorority can start making mainline Pokemon games. But they need help. Maybe this does need to be outsourced. Just please, Pokemon Company, give these people what they need. They have to make these strict deadlines. The video games have to line up with the TCG. It has to line up with the anime. It has to line up with all these toys and merchandise and stuff. They get these strict deadlines. Low budgets. This is the highest budget for a Pokemon game, I'm sure. But in comparison to some of these other games, it's nothing. So why treat this cash cow like a freaking calf? The excuse of there's just so many Pokemon and it's not feasible for us to do this and make all these animations for all these Pokemon, it's just not flying with me, and it's not flying with a lot of other people, because you got games like Yokai Watch that have multiple different animations that look way better than animations on the Pokemon, and they have just about as many monsters as Pokemon does. It's not that far behind. That's like what, 700 Yokai monsters or whatever? So 700 Yokai is not that far behind 1,000. And if they already had all the work done on the models, why can't you do this? What is the problem over there? Like, look up some of the stuff that goes on at Game Freak. We can see what the problem is. At least in my eyes, I feel like the problem is a lot of people over there don't really know what they're doing. I'm not a game developer. I don't code. But when you hear some of the stuff that they do, it's just like, this does not make sense. Even I know this doesn't make sense. Why program Lily to be on every single route when you could just use the same model? Why is there multiple Lily models in Pokemon Sun and Moon for different routes. It's the exact same model, but there's multiple. Why? So fans, of course, are not happy. People are calling for GameFreak to delay the game, which is probably not possible. But a thing that may be a little bit more possible to happen is updates, patches. We live in 2019, games get patches all the time. So people are asking GameFreak to update the games and eventually get all the Pokemon there if you can't get them in by lunch. And GameFreak responded to that by saying there are no plans to do that right now, but they haven't ruled it out either way. So, I mean, there's hope. We might be able to get our Pokemon in. They didn't give us a rough estimate or idea of how many Pokemon would not be obtainable, but I'm guessing it's not a small amount, because otherwise, why not just add them all? Some fans are calling for a boycott. I mean, if you feel that strongly about it and you really don't want to support the game, then I can't tell you how to feel. If you don't want to give a company your money, you don't want to buy the game, then don't buy the game. I'm buying the game. I know I talked a whole lot of smack, but I'm still excited for the game. I'm still excited to see the region, see the new Pokemon, and just play through a new Pokemon adventure, because I'm a big Pokemon fan. But that does not mean that I can't speak and let these folks know how I feel. Feedback works. We told Nintendo, hey, Mario Maker should have us, we should be able to play with friends. They're working on it. It probably won't be day one, but we're gonna be getting friend lobbies. There's nothing wrong with feedback. So I'm not happy with this choice, but when November 15th rolls around, I will be at GameStop picking up my copy of Pokemon Sword. But those were just my thoughts on the Pokegate scandal of 2019. Let me know what you think about it down below. Am I tripping? Is it not that big of a deal? Are you still gonna buy the games? Are you canceling pre-orders because you can't bring all the Pokemon over? I really do want to know. And I want y'all to guess which Pokemon are not gonna be in the game. List 10 Pokemon that won't be in the game. And if you get all 10 right, don't edit. But if you get all 10 right, I'll buy you a copy of Pokemon Sword or Pokemon Shield. 10 Pokemon, I'll buy one lucky person a copy of the game. But let me know down below. It's your boy Jordan Dropout, and as always, y'all be good, be blessed, later.